usual. I think it's about 3 minutes into the hour already. I'm adjusting the cameras, and I think it's time for us to begin. I'm gonna move this. See if we can get that a tiny bit further that way. All right. Welcome back, everybody. We're doing some posture and back stuff. Last weekend, we broke our normal standard exercises, and instead of doing side splits and hip mobility, we did some back strengthening and some neck stretching. All right. Today, we're going to continue on in that general direction and work on a couple of things for strengthening more chunks of your back with a little bit more targeting. All right. But since the first thing we're going to do is warming up, let's do some cat cows. Oh. When we're doing cat cows, you want to put your hands right underneath your shoulders, your knees underneath your hips, and you want to focus on getting that bend across your whole spine. So let's drop that belly button, put the arch in your spine, lift that head up, and feel that cat cow stretch. Whew. And then when you're ready, let's do the opposite. I want you to round the back and tuck that chin to your chest. Breathe and come on down. We're gonna do like 5 of these nice and slow just to get started. That's 2 and 2. Oh, if you are doing this at work, you can do this from a chair. You won't necessarily get as extreme range of motion as when you're doing it on your hands and knees on the ground, but it can still be real nice to get a little bit of mobilization, which just means you're moving a little bit when you're stuck in a chair, slouched over, hunched over for a whole entire day. Whew. A lot of stiffness, a lot of achiness comes from just not moving. And some cat cow can take your back through that full range of motion, get you a little bit of mobility just from doing this, tucking your head, rounding your back, or lifting your chin, bring your belly button forward, and really focusing on getting that forward and backwards motion, right? When we're seated, I'm sitting on my butt, I guess I'm kneeling and sitting on my butt. But if you were in a chair, you can imagine along that you're getting still this much mobility while in your chair, all right? Whew. Hopefully, you got a couple seconds to warm up, a couple seconds of loosening up, because that was our first little bit of warm up. We're going to move on into uh, a couple of different things today. And one of them is going to be, or actually, no, a couple of movements are going to be really challenging. So let's jump into them. Route 10 says hi. Hi, what are you doing? We're doing some back and posture work. We're going to slowly warm up the back. We're going to slowly work on strengthening some muscles in the upper back so you get a little bit more of this motion and this motion, less of this motion. Some of it is going to look more like stretchy stuff. Some of it is going to look more like, what the heck are you doing? Why does this hurt so much? All right. One of the things I actually want to get into, well, let's just get into posture stuff, is called wall angels. And for most people, it's going to look really silly, it's going to look really easy, but it's going to end up being a little bit more difficult than you think. All right. What I want you to do is rest your whole entire back, all the way down to your bum, all right, against the wall. So bring your feet slightly out in front of you, rest your back, low back against the wall. Make sure there's no space behind your back. And then I want you to bring your shoulders and your head all up against the wall. For some people, that by itself is going to be really difficult. Give it a try. Next, I want you to try to stick your elbows to the wall directly alongside you. All right? Then I want you to try your best to touch the wall with your fingers. ultimately, if you can bring your wrists, bring the back of your hands to the wall, that would be really, 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 really good mobility. For most of us, I'm going to show you where I'm actually at because you can't tell when I'm against the wall. For me, I think I'm about here. My hands are definitely probably 4, 5, 6 inches in front of the wall. If I work really, 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 really hard, I can bring my wrist maybe 3 inches. Now, from here, I want you to come up and down. I want you to keep on trying your very best to keep your wrists and your elbows against the wall. And let's just do 10 of those. Let me know in the chat how much you guys are suffering. Because for most people, this does a lot of countering of the slouch, of the tightening of the chest muscles, the relaxing of the back muscles. When we do this, when we bring the arms back, yes, contract all of these muscles in the shoulder blades, in the back. And then when you're going up and down, trying to keep your arms against the wall, you have to work really, 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 really hard to a full range of motion. And I have no idea how many reps you've done. I said 10. I think we did 3 live. So I'm going to just do a couple right now. If you cannot bring your elbows and your wrists all the way back, just focus on what you can do at the best of your ability. That's basically what I'm doing. And oh man, once you're done a couple, take a quick breath, relax, and chill. Flop out your arms, get yourself loose, relax some of those muscles, and we're gonna move on to something else. All right. The wall angels are really good. Hold on, before we move on, the wall angels are really good because they're basically an assessment and movement all at the same time. If you know you have a hard time bringing your shoulder blades together, you probably want to work on strengthening those shoulder blades, right? If you know, and when I say shoulder blades, there's a whole bunch of muscles in the back, lots and lots and lots and lots. I think 16 of them maybe are connected to your shoulder blades. That's a lot of different muscles, right? So when we do wall angels, we're trying to get as many of those to contract as possible to help stretch out the chest almost while you bring your shoulder blades back together. And oh, it is very good for countering the effects of slouching. Cool? All right. We're going to move on to, I think we're going to do some bird dog and some dead bug. All right. The bird dog, we're going to get right back into the position we were just in. I want you to, knees under hips, hands under shoulders. And what I want you to do is, I want you to just lift one thing at a time for now. I want you to keep your whole body straight and stiff right now. Keep that core really tight, flex the glutes, and I want you to lift one arm and try not to shake. Lift that arm as high as you can. And the other one. All right. Next, I want you to lift one leg. Bring that back down. Lift the other leg. Again, I want you to almost not move the whole time you're doing this. And when you're doing the leg version especially, you should start feeling it a little bit along your back. Keep on doing the legs. Switch back and forth. You don't have to hold it for any amount of time. We're just making sure you're getting comfortable with the motion before we level up to the full thing. All right? This is called bird dog. And the ultimate goal is for you to lift one arm and for you to lift the opposite leg and for you to hold them up as high as you can without putting a whole bunch of discomfort into your back. We're just trying to strengthen it. There's difference between contracting your muscles and them getting tired versus your low back getting a little too much bending and being unhappy with you. All right. So if you're feeling any sharp pain, if you're feeling anything crazy intense that feels like it might be pushing into the direction of something bad for you, just stop. Don't continue. But if it feels like your muscles are working really hard and you're going, oh man, I should train these muscles more, then you should probably continue. All right, let's keep going. Bird dog. This should be a relatively mild exercise for a lot of people. It would be nice to get your muscles woken up, figure out how to lift your leg without bending your back, right? If you can control your abs, keep your abs nice and strong. If you can lift with your glutes, with your hamstrings, that will help wake up your glutes. For a lot of us who have low back discomfort, oftentimes it's because your glutes are sleeping. When you are sitting down all day doing sit down stuff, your glute muscles don't have to work very hard. All right? When your glute muscles don't work very hard and they don't do their job when you're trying to do other things, when you're not sitting anymore, oftentimes your low back starts compensating. All right? And that's awesome. That's proof that your body is adapting to how you actually do stuff. What sucks is your low back is not designed to move very much. So if there's a whole bunch of compensation for your movement in your low back, you'll have low back discomfort, low back stiffness, low back pain. And so we want to make sure that we can wake up the glutes, we can make them work. And one of the ways is to clench your glutes. If you're about to get spanked, you're gonna be like, ugh, and all your muscles are gonna tighten up. That is one way to know that they're awake. But if you want to not pretend that you're gonna get spanked, the other version that we can start working on is a little bit of bird dog. All right, we don't have to do that many. And seeing as I didn't tell you anything to do in particular, and I was just introducing you to the exercise, I don't know if I really want to do that many more anyway. We're going to continue with some glute exercise though. And we are going to super focus on the glutes now. All right. The next movement that we're going to work on is called the glute bridge. And what I want you to do is lie on down, on your back. Oh man, that's nice. It's early in the morning. All right. Let's try to bring your heels to your bum and try to see if you can lift your hips up into the air. All right. I'm going to scoop over here because my head is cut off. And what I want you to do is slowly flex those glute muscles. You can poke them to double check that they're flexing, that they're working, to make this straight line. All right, we don't want too much. We don't want your belly button flying way out up over there. We don't want, no, we don't want your butt to be super low. We want you to flex your butt so you can get into a nice plank looking position. All right, and once you're here, the first couple of seconds might not feel too crazy, but as you hang out, as you chill, as you relax, as you breathe, that tension will start building. This is called a glute bridge because the main thing that's going to be working super hard is your glutes. All right. The other muscles that you're going to be working include your back muscles, your spinal erectors, and you can stick your hands into your back. You can touch your low back, and you should feel the two ropey muscles along your spine should be kicking in nice and hard too. All right. Once you know those are the muscles that you're working on, we're gonna just keep on hanging out here. I have no idea how long we've already hung out here for, but let's go for another 30 seconds. All right, 30, 29, 28. For some of you, you might feel a really distinct stretch here in the front, in the hip flexors. That's good. Those tend to be really tight when you sit down a lot because, the knees come up and they get real short. When you flex your glutes real hard and your glutes are awake, the hip flexors is stretched out a little bit. And we probably should be working on that too. All right. How many seconds do you think we hit? 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14. There's lots of little things you can do to make this harder for yourself if you want. You can extend your arms out in front, behind. Just give your arms a little bit extra work to do. You don't have to do any of that either. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, drop your hips down. Ooh, ooh, that was crazy. Hopefully, you felt that in your glutes. Hopefully, when you came down, you're like, oh, okay, hi glutes, hello. Now you know what your glutes are supposed to feel like when you use them. All right. Oh, that was intense. Come on out, relax, chill. You might even want to stretch out your butt, bring your chest down to your knee, feel a little bit of relaxation here. Wiggle, wiggle, shake, shake. Oh, stretch for your glutes to help counter some of that stuff that we just did. Is to hug your knee into your chest and bring it across your body. I'm doing this at a weird angle, so let me face forward. If you cross your leg over and you just hug your leg, oof, that should stretch out the outside of your glutes. I don't know where you're feeling that glute stretch, but that's where I'm feeling it, and this is nice. So hug your leg across your body, and that'll give you a little bit of relief from that glute bridge. Whew. Oh. All right. We did some glute bridges. We did some wall angels. We did some cat cow. We did some bird dog. What should I do now? I'm gonna look at the chat, see if there's any questions, comments that's come in, and then we can move on. Berkey says, "Oh my god, cool." And Rutendo says, "How are you doing this?" I don't know. What are we doing? Is it the glute bridge? We're flexing the glutes real hard, lifting our hips up into the air. Getting the glutes firing so that you get to counteract some of the rounding that you would normally be doing, or the sitting that you should normally be doing, right? We did the wall angels to really work on the muscles that lift the shoulder blades, bring them back, bring the elbows back, bring the hands up into the wall. There's a lot of rotation stuff that we're working on when we do the wall angels, and you bring the arms up and down. And once you've worked on trying to get as flat as possible, we've worked on the, what else did we work on? Bird dog, which looks a little bit like this. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips, and we are extending that straight line, trying to keep the core nice and tight and in control. And we worked on the glute bridge, which you just demonstrated. Did we work on something else? I can't remember. Ugh. Oh, and we did some cat cow. Cat cow is always good because it's generally a pretty lightweight way to move in and out of some back rounding and some chest opening. And I'm gonna see what else we got in the chat. We got people blessing people. All right, interesting. What else? Oh, got lots of strange compliments. I got a question. What's on the floor? This is foam gym flooring. Some random stuff I picked off Amazon. The other side looks like typical gym flooring, I guess, or that metal style where it feels like it's super durable. And the other side is just a little bit softer and it feels a little bit more neutral and not so aggressive. And so I like this side. I'm just using gym flooring upside down. All right. It looks like, hey, Che's back. Hello, Che. All right. That looks like there's not too much going on. And Nadia says, have we worked on back? I have not. It feels like in the middle of my back. Precious Robertson, the heart. Okay, awesome. Nadia says, good morning, all. We have worked on it just a little bit, but we'll work on it some more. Let's see. Nadia says, I have a knot. It feels like in the middle of my back. In the middle of my back. I'm thinking, is there something we can do to address this with what I got in the room? No. I think I might just go back to the regular programming, I think. I don't have. Do I have anything in this room? Oh, maybe. Let's talk about tools. When you have a little bit of pressure on weird stuff in your back, sometimes it'd be nice to very specifically target a point and just squeeze. And just add a little bit of pressure on little pieces. Your spine is very vulnerable, right? So you don't want to put that much pressure directly onto the spine, directly. But if you got some muscles here, sort of on the sides, near your ribs, you got some big muscles over here in your back that need a little bit of love, that need a little bit of attention, a foam roller, or really anything that's relatively cylindrical will be good. The softer it is, the easier it will feel. The harder it is, the more brutal it will feel. And depending on where you're feeling it in the back, you might just want to lay down and relax and wait it out. Maybe it's not on the side like that. Maybe it's at an angle, and maybe you want to roll into it just a little bit and then hang out, right? Foam rolling should be called foam staying because for the most part, when you find something that feels crazy, you should stay there until the muscles relax. All right? It's like what? If you find something weird on your leg, you're gonna poke at it, you're gonna stab at it, you're gonna do a little tiny like back and forth to loosen it up. That's what you're doing with foam rolling. It's not generally something that you're going wee and just going all up and down. All right, there's not as much the point of foam rolling. It's nice, it's fun. If it helps you feel good, go ahead and do that. Just make sure to protect your spine because your spine doesn't benefit too much from prolonged uh, bending in one spot. Because when your muscles relax too much in your spine, it's going to be a real pain in the butt for you to kick them back on and then help you stand up straight. All right. Your back muscles are very important for just standing, being upright. If you spend too much time in a super relaxed position and they forget to turn on, you're going to be very, very floppy. You're going to be very, very weak, and that's not recommended. Okay. All right. Where are we going from here? We're going to go back to some of the basic exercises we did last weekend. We're going to do some leg raises and some chest raises while prone, while laying down. All right. Ugh. We're going to strengthen some back muscles. I want you to focus on your glutes. And I want you to rest your hands or rest your head on your hand. I want you to lift one leg up, flex the glutes, work those hamstrings, contract, 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 lift your leg up behind you. All right? From here, I'm going to drop it down. Whew. That was intense. That was long. Other side. Up, 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 up. Up some more. Up. Keep going up. And whew, hold it there. Try to keep your hips low. Try to keep them on the ground if you can. And come on back down. Whew, that was one rep. Now we're going to add in another piece. I want you to, from here, find a nice snug position for your hips and lift the back muscles up. All right? Come on up as high as you can and come on back down. Whew. Ah, that was intense. Now we're going to do the opposite. Do the legs. Bring up both legs. Oh, yeah. Contract the glutes. Breathe. Don't hold your breath. Inhale. Exhale. Contract, contract, contract. And come on back down. Whew. You should be feeling it in your low back. You should be feeling it in your glutes. We're going to continue by bringing the chest up. Let's go. Chest up. Inhale. Lift, 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 lift. And down. Woo! Alright, keep going. Glutes. Up, 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 up. Inhale. Hold it. Hold it. Hold it. And come on down. Woo! Alright. Let's keep going. Inhale. Chest up. And down. Woo! Legs up. Inhale. Hold it. And down. Woo! Alright. That was some warm up. We're gonna level it up some more. Alright? We're gonna do both the front and the back at the same time. We're gonna lift everything. The only thing that's gonna be down is probably your belly button and your hips. Alright? Take your time. This is not easy. If you're feeling like it is easy though, you can extend your arms up in front of you to just go yeah like that. And that'll make it harder. Cool? Alright, let's go. Head down. Rest your forearms on your wrists and Let's lift everything all at the same time. Inhale. Hold that contraction. Feel the tension in your low back. Relax. Oh, whew. That's one. No, maybe let's do 10 of these. Cool? This is the first time I think I've given the exact number we're going to do. So let's keep going with number 2. Inhale. Come on up, flex the glutes, flex the low back, lift, round, and come on back down. That was 2. Breathe. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Come on back down. Is that 4? Or is that 5? I'm tired. 5 more. We're gonna count that as 5. Inhale. Lift. And down. That's 6. 4 more. Ready? Let's go. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. That's 7. 3 more. Inhale. Exhale. That's 8. 2 more. Inhale. Come on up. Arch the back. Lift the chest. Come on back down. Whew, that's 9. One last one. Inhale and exhale. Inhale. And exhale. All right. That was intense. Hopefully, you're feeling it here in the low back. And you're not super tired because we got more. We got more. What's the time? It is currently 9:30. Okay, cool. We're doing good on time. Expecting the show to run about an hour, so we're gonna do maybe another 20 minutes of exercise, and then we'll just talk. Hey, it's Bryce. Welcome back. Thank you. And Nadi says these are good exercises. Oh, thank you. Okay. I had a whole list, but it's on my computer, and my computer's way over there, so I haven't seen it. What else do I want to work on today? I had like 10 moves. I think we've done like 5 of them. How can I be forgetting all the rest of the moves I wanted to work on? I got one. All right. One of the often neglected areas of the body is the sides of the core, right? Most of the time we see core stuff and we go, ooh, ab exercises, and we're doing crunches and or lifting our body up, and it looks a little bit like this. There is way more to your core than just that. We did a little bit of it when we did some glute bridges a little bit ago. And if you weren't here for that, a glute bridge looks a little bit like this. We are creating this nice straight plank looking shape by flexing the glutes, lifting our hips up to this nice straight line, and we're just holding it for a little bit. You can extend your arms out to either side and just kind of add a little bonus exercise for your arms if you want, but that is the glute bridge. And that works your glutes and a little bit in your low back, right? We're going to work on the other side of our body. We're going to do some more bridging, except it's going to be for your sides, all right? Let's come on up into a side plank. If you can, I'm going to scoot really far back so the whole body is visible. We're going to, boom, try to put a lot of your weight into the side of that foot where it's down on the ground. And I want you to extend your other leg either in front or in back for support if you need it. I want you to really focus on sticking your shoulders nice and strong. Bring this elbow into the ground. I don't want you to sort of melt into the floor like this. I want you to lift your hips up so that the muscles here on the floor facing side of your body are contracting really hard. All right? If you want to make this harder, you got lots of ways. You can lift a leg, you can lift an arm, you can lift an arm that way, you can have fun with it. But the most important part is the contraction happening right here while you try to keep your body straight. All right? Been talking for a long time. I don't know how long you've been holding this, but let's hold it for 30 more seconds. 29, 28, 27, 26. If it gets too intense, you can always stop. 25, 24, 23, 22, 21. Man, 30 seconds seemed like it was a bad idea. 18, 17, 16, 15. Keep this shoulder nice and strong. 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Keep those hips high. 3, 2, 1, 0. Ugh. Ah. Relax. Flop on the floor. Chill. Take your time. Breathe. Okay. Let's do the other side. All right. I guess I have to rotate this way because if I just did the other side, you would just be looking at my back. So give me a second while I flip over. Catch your breath. I hope you're ready. Let's suffer some more. We're gonna work on the obliques, the side muscles here on this side a little bit more, right? You should be able to tell because when you poke here, this should be all chilled out and relaxed. Let's go. Stay nice and strong in that shoulder. Try to keep your elbows straight down. Find a nice comfortable position. And let's go. 30, 29, 28, 27. Although 25 seconds more doesn't seem very fair because I spent a whole bunch of time explaining the setup for the other one. 23, 22, 21, 20, 19. So add some difficulty. 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All right, you can come on down. I probably wasn't nearly as awful as the other one. We probably should just added 10 more seconds, but that's okay. You can even that out on your own. Pause for a second and talk about why strengthening the sides of your waist, the sides of your core, is important. When we overemphasize on ab curls, because those are the sexy muscles, you get really good at contracting a whole bunch of muscles from the front. Your core is a ton of muscles pretty much all the way around, right? We worked on some of those back muscles when we try to lift ourselves off the ground. We worked on some of those back muscles when we did things like bird dog or glute bridges. But an often neglected part is these things on the sides. In regular fitness pop culture, maybe we do some bicycle crunches, right? And that is how we get a little bit of these going. But you don't need to work that hard because bicycle crunches are going to focus primarily on your front abs, right? And with a little bit of twisting, you get a tiny little bit of bonus here on the side. With the side plank, you can just start there and have that part of your body suffer the whole time. Cool? All right. We're going to take that movement that we just did, the side plank. We're going to make it a little bit more useful for some other weak muscles in the body, right? One of the muscles that nobody trains because it is a pain to train, quite literally, is the adductors. I run a show every single day, Monday through Sunday at 9 p.m., so including tonight, where we train for side splits. We train for hip mobility. One of the muscles that we work on is called the adductor. It is basically this inner thigh muscle, all right? I'm going to demonstrate this, and because I didn't tell you you needed anything, you might need to grab a stool, a chair, anything that you can securely rest your leg on is going to be great. All right. We're basically doing a side plank, but the muscles that we focus on are going to be a little bit different. We're going to take the outside leg, the one that's not attached to the floor. We're going to use that to help lift our body up. All right. So you should be feeling the tension here in the inner thigh. These are the adductor muscles. And what I want you to do is just hang out here for a little bit. All right. So everybody at home, since I haven't warned you about anything, go find a chair. Go find something stable that you can use to elevate your leg. If you have a coffee table, that should be fine. If you have, yeah, I think if you have a chair, if you have a stool, if you have a coffee table, those will all be good. If you want, you can stick your leg up into the couch. It might be a little bit squishy, it might be a little bit unstable, but that should be fine too, because most couches have, wood frames and stuff that you'll inevitably be having your bone rest on, and it's gonna hurt, but that's okay. You can stop when it hurts, all right? Let's continue. What we're gonna do is basically get into that same shoulder arm position that we were in for the side plank, where the arm is going straight down from your shoulders, right? We don't want too much of this or too much of this because that's just gonna make it harder. We want the arm to come straight down into the ground. We want to put the inside of the foot that's on the higher side of your hip onto your chair. And we want to come on up using that muscle. These are called Copenhagen planks. And the goal is to slowly come up and down. When you do that, you're going to really work the inner thighs. And that is what we want. This actually has absolutely nothing to do with your low back planks or the sides planks that we were just doing. It has much more to do with your inner thigh. I want you to try your best to bring yourself up, come on down, bring yourself up, come on down, bring yourself up, come on down. Get familiar with the exercise, get familiar with how intense that feels for your legs. You might also be feeling a little bit of that core work that we were talking about on the side of the body that's closer to the ground, but not nearly as much as your inner thigh. Cool? All right. I feel like casually I've done 10, 15 of those lifts, so I hope you've gone and done something similar. But for the moment, let's switch. Start the other side. We'll actually just do 10, and then we'll switch back and we'll do 10 again. All right? The side where the leg is on the ground, that leg is bent so you don't kick your chair. And, oh, here we go. We're in position. Let's do 10. Bring your hips all the way down. Try and come straight down. Try not to twist. Push, lift that hips up. Hips up. Lift your hip. Yeah, I guess it is plural because there's one. Okay, whatever. Come on down and back up. That's 2. And down and back up. That's 3 and down and back up. Remember to breathe. Don't hold your breath. That's 4. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. If you want to take a break in between, you can always rest your leg down. If you're feeling really strong, you don't have to. You can just almost touch and then come back up. Oof, so you maintain tension in the muscles the whole time. I feel like this is 7. I have completely forgotten to count. 8, 9, and last one, 10. All right, come on down. Whew. Those were some Copenhagen planks. Yeah, a little bit of core work, but mostly some inner thigh work. The reason why this is important is because most people don't train their inner thighs at all. Those are typically always weak, and weakness is not that useful for you. All right, so strengthen those muscles. One of the main reasons that's useful for side splits is because when your inner thighs are strong, it lets you do things like the frog pose, right? It makes it easier for you to open up your hips a little bit wider, and it also helps to maintain your comfort and control when you're doing things that look more like side splits. Cool? All right. Ugh. What have we covered today? We start today with some cat cows that look like this. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips, really focusing on bringing the belly button down. Arching your back, lifting your chin up, getting a whole bunch of bending, gentle bending in the spine. We focused on the other half of it, where we bend the back, we round it real deep, we tuck our chin into our chest, and we did a couple of reps of those. Cat cow. We did a couple reps of bird dog, so still in that position. We focused on keeping our core nice and strong and tight while we lifted one arm and we lifted the other leg as high as we can. From here, we felt a whole bunch of tension in our glutes, in our low back, maybe in our shoulders, and we were trying to keep the core really tight keep us balanced so that we don't just start flopping and twisting. All right. What else did we do? We did the Copenhagen planks. That was the end. But we did some glute bridges that look like this. A lot of the time, when you are slouching, these muscles in the front, your hip flexors, get short because you're also sitting, right? When you forcefully push your hips up into this straight planky looking position, you get a stretch here in the hip flexors, which is really good for you. And you also have your glutes firing really hard. When your glutes are working, when your glutes are firing, your low back doesn't have to compensate them. Low back compensation is typically what's happening when you got random little tiny low back aches. It's because your glutes are sleeping, they're not doing any work, they're not helping you out, and your low back is suffering from it. All right, so glute bridges are really good for getting your glutes waking up and making them work. Your glutes are huge muscles, all right? They're big, powerful muscles. So sometimes when you first come up, you'll be like, oh, hey, that's lame. This isn't that useful for me. It's such a basic exercise. Hang out here for 30 seconds, and I'll promise you it's going to feel a little different. All right? Keep the hips high, flex those glutes, and don't sleep on glute bridges. What else? We did bird dogs, glute bridges. Oh, we did some wall angels. If you come on over to a wall and you rest your low back and all of your back up against it, you might want to put your feet slightly in front of the wall, 5, 6, 7, 8 inches in front of the wall. That will help you rest your whole back against it. All right. From here, I want you to sort of make these 90-degree angles with your arms. I want you to palm forward. I want you to stick your elbows into the wall if you can, and I want you to try to bring your wrists back so that your wrists are touching the wall. Mine obviously cannot. But that is the goal. That is the goal of this movement, to get a ton of shoulder mobility, to get a ton of contraction of the muscles in the upper back, to help undo some of the rounding we're normally doing, looking at our phones or on the computer, and working on contracting those muscles. All right. The movement here is bring your arms up and down. So what I want you to try your best to do is reach your arms up while keeping your elbows and wrists as close to the wall as possible, and then come on back down. Keep your back against the wall. Don't let your back round or arch as you do this. And keep on going up and down. It might not feel hard, like pushing up isn't hard, but contracting the other muscles in your back, contracting the muscles that stretch out your chest, that is what's hard. Keeping your back from going, okay, I can do this, in the low back, that is what's hard. So, wall angels, one last time. Keep your feet slightly in front, stick your low back against the wall, then let the rest of your back relax onto the wall, rest your head against the wall, stick your elbows into the wall, rotate your arms so that your wrists are as close to the wall as possible, and now maintain your arms as close to the wall as possible and go up and down. Whew. This is not handstand push-ups, right? It's not about pushing up and making that movement feel strong. It's about opening up and contracting all those back muscles to help you feel a little stronger. All right. Whew. I think we're gonna wrap this up with two very irregular, no, maybe just one very irregular back exercise. All right. When we do pull-ups, the motion looks vaguely like this, right? You're grabbing something, you're pulling yourself up to the bar, or if you're doing a lat pull down machine at the gym, it looks a little bit like this. You're pulling the thing down to you. There's another type of pulling motion that looks a little bit like this. You're pulling something to you, and your elbows should be able to come really far back when you do that. All right. When there's a lot of resistance, you might not be able to pull yourself that far back. This next exercise that we're going to do is going to work on the weakest part, typically, of most people's rowing motion, this type of horizontal pulling. And we're going to do this on the floor. So hopefully you have a little bit of padding for your joints, but if you don't, it's probably not the end of the world, but you might want to grab something to put your elbows on. All right. We are gonna try our best to take our elbows, put them about 5-6 inches to the outside of our bodies, and we're going to try our best to push down into the ground and lift our torsos like that. To make this easier on yourself, to take off some of the burden, you can bring your legs up towards your butt so that you're not lifting your whole body. All right? If you want, you can also do this against the wall so that you're not actually lifting that much weight. You're just pushing a little bit. It's not going to look like anything because I don't have the ability to lean against the wall and show you my elbows going backwards. So I guess you're just going to have to see me move a tiny bit forwards. Whee! That looks silly. I'm going to come back down to the ground. All right. When we do this version, you can treat it a whole bunch of different. You can treat it as a whole bunch of different things. All right. One of them is you now know this is part of that pulling motion, and an example of where you would use that motion in like a typical gym exercise is when you are doing muscle ups, for example, and you're trying to pull yourself over the bar, or you're doing really, really, really intense, powerful pull ups. You're going to pull your arms down. You're going to get into this position to help roll yourself over the bar for a muscle up. That's this motion. That's this little thing that you're training right now. A lot of people who struggle with muscle ups struggle with them because they're not strong enough to get that tiny little bit of finishing motion right here. So, even though it looks ridiculous, even though it looks like a beginner move, it's actually very helpful, even if you're training for your muscle up. Oh, and you can do a lot of pull ups. All right? Where we're going with this. Tuck, if you're new, tuck your feet towards your butt. Actually, I'm going to screw over here so you can actually see what I'm doing. Tuck your feet towards your butt. Stick your elbows to either side of you, about 5-6 inches, and push the elbows down. Really bring it back. Keep on going. We're gonna do. Let's do 5. 2. These are really challenging, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. 3. I want you to try to get your hands to the sides of your body. That's how far back I want you to reach. All right, and you can use a little bit of your hips to help thrust upwards to get there, but give yourself less and less help as you go. All right, because at the end of the day, you really want to strengthen your back muscles. You really want to strengthen that motion of bringing your elbows back. And when you get really strong, you can push your legs further and further away so that you have more and more burden on your elbows, on your back muscles, and that is a new exercise for you guys to try. If you do these at slightly different angles, right? If you bring your elbows up really high, maybe not to shoulder height, but pretty high up, you can do this exercise. Work on really contracting the back muscles, popping that chest up. You won't be able to get it very high off the ground, and that's okay, but you still get to push your whole back up with the resistance in your chest, with the resistance of your body weight. It's not gonna look super impressive for sure. You know, push-ups are gonna look way more intense, but that's not the point. The point is to help strengthen some of those back muscles at home without too much extra equipment, doing exercises that you can do from basically anywhere, right? Strong Mama 87, I think, says lower back pain. How can I help me? Um, Lower back pain can be very complicated. One of the things we talked about at some point in this live was when your glutes are not working, that can help create low back pain. All right, your glutes are really strong, big muscles. All right, if you sit down a lot and you don't have them kicking in, working, doing stuff, contributing very often, your low back is doing a lot of work to compensate. Oftentimes, that results in low back pain, or you won't know oftentimes until your pain starts hitting the low back. Um, so, one of the things you can do is one of the exercises that we were doing earlier, which is glute bridges. When you tuck your legs, your heels towards your butt, and you lift your hips up using your glute muscles, you can stab your fingers in to double check that your glutes are firing. You lift your hips up, you feel the stretch here in the hip flexors, and you hang out here for a little bit, 30 seconds, a minute, as long as you can. That is going to help wake up your glutes. All right. Another thing that you can do to help wake up your glutes is to lift the legs, plant your hips into the ground, get nice and stable and comfortable. And if you fire off those glutes to lift your legs up and get your legs pulled really far back, work those hamstrings, that will help your glutes wake up. All right. What else? For your low back, oftentimes is because you're not moving a lot, it's stiff for a long time, that your low back gets more and more unhappy with you. All right. So, especially if you're feeling low back tension, discomfort, when you're just sitting there not doing anything, sometimes what you really need is a little bit of gentle movement. Cat cow looks a little bit like this. We have our hands underneath the shoulders, our knees underneath our hips. We are trying to stick the belly button into the ground almost. And then we're going to round and arch our backs slightly, lift the chin up, feel that full bend in each little vertebrae in your spine, and then do the opposite. Round the back, try and bring the middle of your back up into the sky as high as you can. Tuck the chin to your chest and inhale. Exhale. And keep going. Oh. Sometimes that little bit of movement, maybe the first rep isn't going to feel very great because you're just getting the joints to get into those shapes for the first time. But as you spend a little bit of time going in and out and in and out, making the movement feel a little bit more familiar, that is going to take some strain off of your muscles, because stiffness is your muscles firing and not moving. They're just locked up in position. When you bend, when you arch, when you move, those muscles have to relax and lengthen. They have to contract, they have to relax, and they have to contract. So do a couple reps of cat cow. That should, at least for most people, be temporary relief to get some of the stiffness to go away. Once you got some of the stiffness to go away, you can start working on all the other exercises to strengthen your back muscles, to strengthen your upper back muscles for posture, stretch out the chest. Because most of the time when we are slouching, when we're on a computer or we're looking at our phones, we're in this position, right? The neck is down and the shoulders are pulling forward. And when the shoulders are pulling forward, I'm obviously exaggerating, the chest muscles get tighter because that's the position you're putting them in. They're in a slightly contracted state. The opposite of that is when your chest muscles get all stretched out and your chest comes all the way out. We're like never, ever, ever in this position. That's a crazy position to be in, right? But that just means because we're always in this position, these muscles are going to be even harder, even more difficult to stretch out and open up. And that is what the purpose of the wall angels are. When you work on the wall angels and you rest your upper back and your head and your whole back actually against the wall, you're going to get ah, but we can do this from the floor in a seated position. We can do this standing. If your back, your low back, your mid back, your shoulders, your head are all against the wall, focus on bringing your elbows into the wall, lifting your hands up into the air, and trying to get your wrists to touch. If you're able to do most of those things, you're going to have a good amount of back mobility, right? For most of us, you're going to really struggle with at least two or three of these things. Oh, and most of your muscles are going to be fighting desperately to try and bring your arms back behind you to actually be able to touch the wall. You might be able to get it like this, where your palms are facing the ground and you put your elbows back. That might be already hard. It is hard for me. But when you rotate to try and bring the hands up so that the wrists are touching, your palms are facing forward, that's when it gets hard. Then you can lift your arms for a little bit of relaxation, bring them back down. Ugh. Bring them back up, bring them back down, and try and work on contracting those muscles in your back. Because just like we were talking about As soon as I relaxed, I went into this position. All right. What we're trying to do is make sure the head comes back against the wall, the back is contracted, your elbows are pulled back, your hands are pulled back, and you're able to do that. Right? That's the goal, and that's what the purpose of that really silly looking exercise is all about. Is to give you a nice straight wall reminder to pull your shoulders back, pull your head back, pull your hands back, and hopefully work on your posture, work on some of those little muscles that usually are not contracted. They usually are stretched out. Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Time has flown by. We are almost an hour in. I have recapped a whole bunch of exercises over and over again because people have come in with questions related to stuff that we did earlier. That's okay. Oh, wait. Do we have lag? My phone froze. I can't see you no more. Awesome. Cool, 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 cool. Everything looks good in the comments. All right. All right. We got a couple minutes. Let's do some neck stretching. All right. We covered a whole bunch of back exercises, and they're going to have different uses for different things. So I encourage you, hopefully, you discovered some of them that you really enjoy, that you really need. I like the glute bridge a lot. Feel free to experiment with it in your own life. All right. Those are just some basic tools to help you feel a little bit better when you've been sitting, you've been stiff for a lot of time. Part of the reason why this live is happening is because I got to do some stuff that makes me feel better too, right? So my back's been quite stiff. I've been sitting in a chair for a lot of hours, and hopefully that helps. All right, we're gonna do some neck stretches. A lot of the time, when you have all sorts of different headaches, the discomfort is coming from your sitting posture. The sitting thing's killing us, guys. What I want you to do is find something to sit on if you can. If you have a chair, perfect. If you don't have a chair, that's okay. We can make it work. All right. But I want you to be in a seated position to start. We're going to stretch out the sides of our necks. We're going to stretch out this part of our shoulder. And what I want you to do is, if you can, grab underneath your chair. When you have this arm locked down and then you lean the other way, you're going to feel a nice stretch coming out of these muscles. All right. What I want you to do is lock down that arm, lean over, take the other hand, and slightly tug on your neck. This is not a jerking motion, right? It's just a little tiny bit of pressure as you lean over that away. You should feel tension coming into the neck. You should feel tension coming down into the shoulder, into this delt muscle, and this should feel like a nice stretch. If you don't have a chair, you can just go, huh, and stick your arm straight down. Imagine you're holding down to an imaginary, I don't know, handrail or something. It should work. You don't need to have a chair underneath you. It just helps. So you don't have to imagine. You don't have to pretend. You just have it there. All right. Once you've done that for a couple of seconds, come on back up. Do a little neck shake. You should feel that tension, but it should also feel super chill compared to the other side. We're going to change up the angle. All right. If you sort of lean your head downwards a little bit so that your eyes are pointing down into the this side, that should feel that should make the stretch feel and appear in a slightly different spot, right? If you tilt the head back and you lean to the left, you're going to feel it more in the front. If you tilt your head down and you lean your head to the side, you're going to feel it more in the back, right? So you can shift where you feel that stretch more by tilting your head front and back. You don't want to be tilting your head front and back and just doing this with your head. That's a little crazy. Or just choosing an angle, bring the neck out that way to feel that stretch wherever it is that you need to feel it. You can do the same on the other side. Grab the bottom of your chair, lean a little bit to the opposite direction, put some pressure on that head, and let's begin some stretching. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. If you kept a relatively neutral head angle, you should feel it straight up through the middle of your neck. If you tuck your head a little bit, and pull, you should feel it more at a backside angle. All right. So experiment, find where you need that stretch, and 10, 9, 8, 7. Again, this arm, you can just imagine you're sticking it straight down to the side, hold it onto an imaginary handrail, and that will work as well. But if you got a chair underneath you, you can just hold on to the bottom of the chair. 2, 1, 0. Whew. When you do some of these angled ones, you might feel it a little bit in this muscle across the tops of your shoulders, as well as in the back of the neck. Enjoy it. Next, yes, definitely. Definitely take it slow, take it chill. This is not intensity. This is not an exercise, right? These are just stretches. If your muscles are super tense, you're constantly giving yourself self massages and going, oh man, and your neck is heavy and your head feels so heavy, and you just can't keep your head up. The stretches are for that. It's not for trying to build neck muscles. We're not. That's not what we're doing right now. We're just trying to relieve some tension, so it's easier to focus on whatever you have to focus on. So it's easier to fall asleep. So it's easier to chill, relax. All right. So if you feel like pulling is a little too intense for you, you can just let your neck flop to one side. You don't have to apply that extra pressure. You can grab onto the chair. You can not grab onto the chair. You can just let your neck relax and you'll still feel a stretch. You can see the muscles straining real hard just from me letting my head flop over to the side, right? That is a good reminder. And that's when you are slouching, when your head is at that crazy angle, it's going to feel like it weighs a crap ton, all right? For the same reason that me leaning over has all of these neck muscles, all of these shoulder muscles suddenly kicking in, and you can see all of that strain, all of that tension. It's the same principles when you have your neck going that way. Those neck muscles are working real hard to support the weight of your head because your head is just falling off the side of your body, right? It's like you trying to hold something up like this, right? The crazier the angle, the heavier it's going to feel, right? If it's going straight up, doesn't feel like anything because the bones are holding up. But the further and further and further and further and further you lean your head, the heavier it's going to feel on your little hand muscles in that example. So it's really important for all of us to try and straighten out our necks, try and straighten out our backs so that the back of our necks, these muscles aren't going and fighting, lifting your head the whole entire time. So let's talk about stretching out these muscles. You can make it worse first because it's gonna feel relaxing. If you slightly bring your head down just a little bit so that your chin is towards your chest, you can grab yourself by the head. And I'm not gonna do it very well because I got earbuds and glasses. I got like a double whammy of things not to have on your face when you're trying to stretch out your neck. But if you can, give yourself a little gentle pull, apply some pressure to the sides of your head, some gentle pull in that direction, not straight down. We're not crunching. Or bring it forward, maybe even forward and up that way. You should get a little bit of relaxation. All right. Partially because you're holding your own head. Your muscles aren't holding you up anymore. And that is relaxation all by itself. You don't have to do anything crazy. Just give yourself a little shake, a little bit of gentle movement. A lot of the time, when you got headaches that sort of start in the back of your head, that is probably because some of these neck muscles have been firing for a lot of time, and you got a whole bunch of tension in the scalp, in the back side of your head. And a little gentle movement goes a long way. Whew. Okay, what else? This next part isn't usually that important. Most people aren't complaining about this, but we did the back. Let's do the front. All right. If you sit up nice and straight and then you tilt your neck back, you can point your chin up into the air. You can start feeling some muscles on either side in the front here. And try not to jam your neck, so don't go smashing your head super far back. We're not doing some head bang. This is not a rock concert. We are just slightly raising our chin up into the air, and you should feel these muscles in the front of your neck getting stretched out. That is good. When you look backwards, you should be able to see slightly behind you. All right, that would be really good range of motion in the neck. If you can look directly up above you, great. That's really good. Most people don't need anything more than that. All right, and feel that stretch coming in to the front. If you look up, you tilt your chin up on one side a little bit, you'll feel the stretch more on one side of the front or the other side of the front. Let's just pick one, see if there's one that you like, and let's do it for a couple seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. If it sounds like my voice is weird, it's because I'm stretching out my neck muscles. 3, 2, 1, 0. Woo. Oh. How's that feel? Those are some basic neck stretches. Take off some tension in the shoulders, take off some tension in the neck, help you to relax those muscles a little bit, and hopefully you can chill out, enjoy the rest of your day because we're about to wrap up the live. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming in. It's been about 70-ish minutes since the live has started. We did a lot of back and posture related stuff. And then we wrapped up with a couple of neck stretches because it feels good to relax afterwards. I hope it took something valuable that you can apply into your regular life. Most of the things that we did don't really require that much equipment. Being able to lie down on the floor is helpful. But I think the only thing that required stuff was the Copenhagen plank, which worked on strengthening the adductors, which has almost nothing to do with back stuff. It's just a muscle that is weak for most people, and it looks a lot like a side plank, which is actually useful for your spine. Oh man, that's disappointing. I put the stool a little too far forward because I didn't want to keep on squishing the foam underneath me because I just saw that left a big old print, and then when I sat down, I missed the stool and I just kind of fell over. So ignore all of that. Adjust my butt. I'm gonna scroll through the chat and see if there's anything else I need to respond to. We got basically nothing left on YouTube. All right, great. And we got a whole bunch of thank yous. Roxy Arthur says thank you. Nadi says thank you. Brummer says thank you. And we got some hands. Amazing, 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 amazing. I'm glad some of these were useful for you. Cutie Clip says these are winners. Amazing. Glad they're feeling good. KD says you are wonderful. Oh, thank you for the compliment. Aggie says feels like it'd be safe for me to do this. Good. That's the intention. Most of the, I think that came in when we were doing neck stretches. Most of the neck stretches are going to be well within your capability, and you don't have to apply any pressure. You can just relax the neck. Sometimes it's just choosing to relax the neck is all that it takes, right? How do I say this? When you fall asleep on an airplane, when you fall asleep on a train or something, and your head is doing this thing, right? On one hand, like it feels awful, but on another hand, that is the ultimate neck relaxation, right? Like you're just sleeping in this crazy position, and all the tension in your neck is just gonna go as crazy as it goes. If you have fallen asleep sideways with your head leaning against, the window or something, you might know that this feeling right here can be just like that. When you hold it for way too long and this muscle is completely relaxed, and you're like, straining to keep the neck back to neutral, that feels bad. But when you're doing it for 10, 15, 20 seconds to undo some of the tension in your neck, that can feel good. All right. So too much of a good thing becomes a bad thing. That's falling asleep on the airplane, or falling asleep on the train, or falling asleep in the car where your head is going like this. Whatever version of being asleep sitting up, that's that. Yeah. So unfortunately, you probably do some version of this stretch all the time, and you don't even think about it, and you are suffering from it. But if you tone it down a little bit, make it a little bit chiller, oftentimes it could be really nice for relaxing your neck muscles. All right, I'm gonna scroll up some more and see what else we got. Nadi says you did an outstanding job. Thank you, thank you. So many compliments today. Che is here, sending thanks, sending support in the chat, supporting people. And I think that is about everything. Somebody asked if I can do a handstand. Is that a headstand or a handstand? I scrolled too fast. It's a handstand. I can do a handstand. Um, I don't know if I'm gonna get into that today because then I'll go down like another half-hour tangent. Typo says most handsome. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Buddha says I feel that in my knee. What could we have been doing that you felt in your knee? There's probably two main exercises that we could have started feeling in the knee. I think one of them might have been this, the glute bridge. If you have really tight quads and you're trying to stick your hips up into the air, sometimes you'll feel it in the knee, especially if you have an old knee injury. You might feel it outside the knee when you're trying to bring your hips up above the knee. Um, that is okay. And the reason why I know that is because I have a little bit of that on that on this left knee that I'm pointing to. That is okay. You can take the depths a little bit less intensely. You can extend that leg a little bit more so your knee isn't as bent. If you straighten out the leg a little bit more, there'll be less pressure on that knee. All right. I had thought of another exercise where we would have gotten the knee thing. Oh, right. When you are doing both the side planks and the Copenhagen plank, side plank being this thing, Copenhagen plank being this thing, you're putting a lot of pressure on your knee. All right. And that is probably just how it's going to be. That is what you need from those muscles. But you can make a slight adjustment, especially for the Copenhagen plank. We have done a couple of these with our feet on the stool. If you instead rest your knee or like your inner thigh a couple inches of that leg into the stool and you extend the other leg, just around the stool or chair or coffee table, whatever you want. It's easier with a small stool because you can stay resting on the floor. You can still work on that general motion at a reduced intensity because of you know the length of the lever is much shorter, which means instead of having the full leg, you're doing half a leg, and it's easier because it's a shorter range. But resting your leg on a platform hurts. It's not comfortable, so you might need to find some soft, cushiony way to do that. Yay, that's much better. Okay, cool. Anyways, hopefully I've addressed one or two of your potential knee discomfort situations, and now you know how to adjust them for a little bit more comfort. I'm gonna scroll a little bit longer and see if there's anything else that we need to see. There's a lot of hearts. There's a lot of good, positive stuff, and I think that's about it. I'm gonna wrap up for today. There's still 100 of you online. Oh my gosh. Okay. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you had some fun working on your posture, working on your back, working on a little bit of movement to help you wake up for the day. I think I'm ready to wrap up. We have another live at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So that's happening in 10 hours and like 45 minutes. And that live is about hip mobility and side splits. That is the regular show that I do. It is much more planned out and easy for me to do because I'm not making stuff up or making up new lists of movements to add to the show morning of. And that show has been going on for hundreds of days, maybe 400 days at this point, 500 days possibly. Oh man, sounds crazy. Okay, anyways, if you're interested in moving your hips a little bit better, if you're interested in side splits, which are just really advanced hip mobility, if you're interested in working on something that's built around practicing consistency every single day, that live is live at 9 p.m. Eastern Time every single day, Monday through Sunday, and I invite you to come back for that. This live, the one that you just watched, this is kind of what I'm doing to fill some Saturday and Sundays. I'm trying to get a little bit deeper into my side splits, and I need a little bit more rest to recover and have a little bit more intensity in my side split stretching. So I've changed our regular morning lives that used to be just side splits and hip mobility to something a little bit more gentle, a little bit more restorative, a little bit not legs. And it's been upper back and neck stuff. If you like this live, make sure to hit follow, hit subscribe. But this live, the thing that you just saw, only happens on the weekends. All right. Most of our content is, or most of the live content, the stretch follow along stuff, is side splits and hip mobility. And if you like that stuff, you should definitely come back for tonight. Set an alarm, set a calendar reminder, invite, hit follow, hit subscribe, and come check out some of the other content. I also do other stuff, by the way. This live is never ending. I also do other stuff. Most of my philosophy towards fitness is we don't really have to go out of our way to go to the gym. It's really awesome if you can, but if you can't, it's not how you do things. There's other ways to add a little bit of fitness into your life. All right. When you're waiting for 2 minutes for your coffee to come out of the machine, if you're waiting 2 minutes for the microwave to heat up your lunch, if you're waiting for 5 minutes for the pasta to finally soften in the boiling hot water, those are valuable minutes you otherwise would have been doom scrolling that you can spend doing a little bit of exercise, right? If you're waiting for your coffee to boil, you probably just got out of bed. It'd probably be really helpful for you to do something for your spine because you've been sleeping in a backgrounded position all night, right? It's a perfect opportunity for some cat cow, like we did today. In general, any movement is going to be feeling real good for you. If you're in the kitchen waiting for something to happen, you can always default to some calf raises. You don't have to do anything fancy. You can default to some squats. You can default to some lunges. And if you could pull off 2 minutes of lunges, that would be absolutely crazy. All right. It'd be insane. Nobody's doing 2 minutes straight of lunges. So don't sleep on those 2 minute periods. Don't sleep on those little tiny opportunities to get a little bit of exercise because they add up, they make a difference, and you should definitely take advantage of them. Because what were you gonna do otherwise? You're gonna doom scroll, right? You're gonna be here scrolling around, and you could otherwise, or you can do both at the same time. Hey, there's no reason to stop you. One's your eyes and your hands, the other's your legs, right? Anyways, hit follow, hit subscribe, doom scroll into some of my other content. Hopefully, it will remind you that your whole home, everything is an opportunity to get a little bit of exercise, to move a little bit better. Hopefully, your joints love you for that, and you love the content because it helps you feel a little bit more better. Okay? More better. Man, my words are going crazy today. All right, I'm gonna go get some coffee so I can actually speak. And I hope to see you guys later at 9 p.m. when we're doing side splits and hip mobility. Hit follow, hit subscribe, keep coming back, and we will work on some of that consistency, the magic stuff to help you get more comfortable.